I'm going to show you how to make themes for Vital, also known as skins. So I'll show you some of the themes I've made. First, go to this hamburger icon, Alt left click, edit theme colors, scroll all the way down, hit the plus icon, load up some new colors. So what I like to do is use a color palette generator. I've got one I already made. So you click here, paste your color in. Alright, so this is your hex code. This is the opacity, also known as like how see-through the color is. The more you lower this, the more transparent it is. And then this is the bloom. Everybody calls it glowies. So what I like to do for specific colors is copy them. Then create a new color and add glowies. And then that way you have your base color and then you have a glowies one, and you can use a combination of both. And then sometimes, depending on what color it is, you have to adjust the number for them to match. Brighter colors will have a bigger increase in the glowy setting than others. Now that we got our colors here, what I like to do is start with a preset that has a lot going on. This will allow you to see all the colors and make sure that you've changed everything inside the skin editor. If you use the init preset, you're likely to miss stuff like random and other things. I like to start at the synth section. And what you want to do is you want to adjust the main sections first before you click into specific modules to adjust them. That way you change the global settings first. So background, just drag that over there. Now what you can also do is if you right click on anything here, it'll show you where it will be changed inside the skin. And then also if you hover over the color, it will show which color on the left is being applied to it. And one very important thing I forgot to mention, you want to save your theme a bunch of times as you're going through and changing stuff, because if you screw something up, you're really going to wish you had an earlier copy to go back to. So sometimes you want several different colors for the label background, panel body heading, etc. Other times it's kind of nice just having it all flat. So that's what we'll do here. Okay, we'll boost the glowies on this. And then also, there's plenty of things that you can just kind of leave at the default unless you really want to go deep into customizing the skin. All right, next thing I like to do is go to slider. So rotary color obviously affects that. And then you can change the body and edge. So that's also kind of cool. You just have this, or you can do something like that. So that's your linear sliders. So if you click on something, it's going to go to that specific section of the skin editor. So you could just X out of it. So I increased the glide to bring up the slope slider. So that way when we adjust it, we'll see how it looks. Forgot to do that one. All right, next I like to go to line renderer. That does the lines here. And as you see, even though this is a global setting, for some reason it doesn't change these. So we'll have to go in after and change each section. So typically I like to do line color, line fill 1 and 2 the same, but you could do, multiple colors. Something else you can do is, so let's say you copy this, paste it over here. If you alt click, it will make a gradient of 2 colors, and then you can alt click again. You have to click twice that second time, and then you have a gradient of 4 colors. So alt click again, back to 1. Now you're at 2. 4 you can do sometimes, but it can be a little extreme. So 2.5, 3. Let's see how this looks. That's pretty cool. Now, if you go all the way to the bottom, Wavetable 3D color, then that changes that. All right, so what we can do now is go to each section and change the line render. And then also, I forgot to say that the slider doesn't get changed on everything. So you just left click in it. Now you see we're in the envelope section, so go to line render. Okay, so this is something that can happen accidentally. See how this color changed? Because I clicked somewhere else on the box. So just change it back. All right, let's go to slider. Change that. So you see like all the other rotary stuff changed on the global setting, just the rotary color did not change. All right, let's go to LFO section. And also you can make each section have a different line color scheme or slider color. All right, let's go to filter. So you see with those few sections, you've got a lot of stuff changed on the main screen. All right, next we'll go to rendering component or render component. So widget background color changes all this stuff. Go. And usually for the text color, I'll leave it the same unless I'm doing like a white skin, then you can change the text to black. All right, modulation button. So active modulation color. We could do this gradient thing. So modulation button color. So these are all the buttons that are not currently selected. We can make that black. Actually, let's do that purple. And typically for all the modulation stuff, I'll do it one color. It's your preference if you want to kind of like have different colors going on there. Modulation Tab Selector. That's basically which tab is active. So what you could also do is just kind of drag it over without dropping it and audition different colors. See what you like. Yeah, it's kind of cool. What I've found is when you have a lot of glowies going on, it's also nice to have flat colors. All right, and then after I do my main stuff, I then start all the way at the top. I never change these. Bar color, could do that purple again. So bend section, this is your keyboard stuff. Mod wheel, pitch wheel. So again, you can just kind of audition different stuff. That's kind of cool. There we go. And then you see, like, sometimes I'll just leave that default color there. You can also do something like this where it disappears into the background. We'll just make all these black. So this is all your buttons and stuff. It's off. When it's on, we'll just leave that like that. So text button on. So toggle button is for these and other stuff. And then like you can just remember what you use for your power buttons and then kind of use it for other stuff to match it. And then there's sometimes you may get to something where it's not visible yet because it may be controlling or changing a color on a pop-up screen or whatever. So usually I will go to the pop-up screen and make it visible if I know what the function is doing. So usually for the effects, I don't change anything. So header section, preset, background, Midi Keyboard. So like, see, if you use the glowies all the time, that's like way too much. So kind of have the flat one. All right. And then these are the colors that show when you actually press a key. So we could do like the purple. So this is your Unison bars. Okay, so this is like your meter. So we could do something like purple and then keep it red when you're clipping. And these are the background colors. You can just make it all match the background. That's your tick, these little guys. So your Popup Browser is all this stuff here. But you want to go back to global, change it there. So we could do something like that. Okay, then you can go check it. All right, that looks fine. X back out of that. All right, Popup Menu, I believe is this section right here. There we go. That looks fine. Can still kind of keep the default vinyl color for the background. Or you can change it if you want right here. There we go. So for preset browser, I like to go into here and then X out of that. And that way you can see it as you're editing it. So stick with that red. It's kind of cool. So, yeah, get rid of that. Okay. All right. I think this is text box or text editor. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So preset selectors right here. Filter, LFO, etc. Okay. Tab selector. This is stuff at the top. There we go. And then these are the ones that aren't selected. Do something clever like that, or just make it a kind of a darker version of your Glowies thing. Okay. Transpose, quantize, volume thumb. I believe it's that guy right there. All this wavetable stuff. Click the pencil. That's inside your wavetable editor. Yeah, and see there's other stuff that I usually don't mess with. Change that. So one thing I forgot to do was random. You could click macro if you want your macros to have a different slider color. Do the purple, just to switch it up a little bit. Over here at filter, you see the power button doesn't change even when I did it in the global section. So text button on. So let's change this to that purple. Power button on. There we go. Okay, that's change that. If you alt click, you go to edit theme values. You can change the sizes and positioning of a lot of different stuff. Typically, if I do anything, I'll go to the slider section. It has the defaults here, and then you can just like mess around. So you see, made that bigger, just a little too big, do like 43. And then the bigger you make it, the less centered it is, so you kind of have to increase the offset. And I will also include a download link for this theme in the description. All right, peace.